So my second slide of question would have been the agency that is responsible for the ICANN, for the naming and numbering. And it's, of course, this is the ICANN. It's a very easy one. And why I'm having this question as I'm saying, very, very easy one, because there has always been a myth within our region in specific that the ICANN is the only responsible organization for running the internet. While in fact, the ICANN doesn't really run the internet as we know it. The ICANN runs or handles the naming and the numbering, because our minds cannot really comprehend or memorize 12-digit figures to have like an address where you would like to type in and then you go to this address. It's not easy for us as a mentality to do this. So we needed to have someone who can transform this kind of complicated digital format for the addresses and put it in a way that we can understand as human beings, so that when we write, for example, CNN, I'm able to be transferred through the internet network to this specific place. When I try to send Luay an email, then this email would reach only Luay. It cannot just go to Christine, for example. Okay, so we had to have someone who takes care about this particular point, and this is a very technical one. Technical job, I mean, and the ICANN is the responsible one to do that. But the other part of the ecosystem for the internet is being, as I said in my earlier slide, is being managed or looked after from different entities, including the national government, regulators, and companies, and so on. So for us as government, not only in the Arab world, but also from any other part, we have to have a role and we have to have a say for the internet to run in our own boundaries in the way we would like it to run, but not in a way that can harm the internet at large or harm the global internet. So for example, and I have to mention as an example, China model, the Chinese model, for instance. So the Chinese model decided to have their own network. So this is not the internet. What they are having there is not really the internet. Why? Because it's a closed network only for China, for within the Chinese boundaries. It's not the global internet which we are using. This is another kind of network that might be good from one perspective, but might be harmful from another perspective, and could cause a kind of fragmentation on the network of networks or the internet as we know it. So the government has to think about the light policies or regulation that can help the internet to keep growing and keep developing, to help everyone who would like to engage over the internet, especially now with the application layer growing faster and faster, and especially with the more reliance on the internet, in a way that would allow especially the small and medium enterprises to be able to join, because this is the future of the economy of any country. So the internet governance, the first time the internet governance term has emerged. Do you know when?
Yes, can I answer, please?
Yes, please.
This is Rola for record. The first time it's from WSIS, I guess WSIS Tunisia in 2005. They were, it defined all stakeholders that relevant, that technical, government, business, and all the multi-stakeholder for connecting the internet. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Rola, very much. So the first time the internet governance has been mentioned or emerged, it emerged within the World Summit for Information Society, which took place in 2003 in Geneva, and then the second phase in 2005 in Tunisia. And in Tunisia, this internet governance has been more defined, and they have called upon holding a forum that is called the Internet Governance Forum, which we know, of course. And that very first forum took place in 2006. The summit in 2003 in Geneva defined the internet governance through the working group over the internet, the WGIG as we know it. And they put the first definition for internet governance, and then the discussion continued in 2005, and we were able to define the role of every stakeholder, and the term of multi-stakeholderism has been also evolving at or has emerged at that point in time. Some development ever since then, I just want to highlight 4 of them actually. So in 2006, as I mentioned, the first Internet Governance Forum took place, and the discussion over the ICANN on the MOU with the Department of Commerce as well expired. And the plenipotentiary of the ITU appointed Hamadoun Touré as the Secretary General, and he announced a very ambitious plan for cybersecurity and development assistance in general. In 2008, the election of President Obama took place, and one of the very main features within the Obama campaign was the fact that he was a heavy user for the application, so the WhatsApp and the Facebook and so on. And for the first time, this kind of tool, which we call them the Web 2, has been recognized as one way of communication that can be even used on a very high level, like a presidential level, and within a very highly sensitive political activity, like a presidential campaign of the United States. And this means and stresses the fact that at that point in time, the internet actually witnessed a kind of transformation of how impactful it is becoming to be in our daily life. So starting from a presidential election to a very, very basic kind of communication medium that 2 friends from different parts of the world, for example, can communicate together, or family members to communicate together. This was a kind of realization how important that was becoming to be. Obama as well supported the multilateralism and influenced the discussion on the internationalization of the ICANN. And ever since this point in time, the ICANN has been able to, or has been actually taken into a waves of transformation in the way they are working and how open they could be and so on. And I'm sure Nadira, if we'd like to have more information, she would be in a better position than myself even to give about, give some information about the situation where the ICANN is right now. Another important term emerged in 2008, which is the network neutrality. Again, another very important component or controversial issue, a challenging issue for the internet governance at large. And as I mentioned, the Web 2 tools opened or stressed on the privacy issues and data protection on social media platform in general. All these kind of development I would like you to keep in your mind, because this is something that we will be again looking at when we reach our era right now. So it's a kind of timeline that we are moving across. And please, if you have any question, interrupt me anytime. Or if I'm moving fast, let me know. So this is rather again another question that I would like you to think over, and please engage with me. What is, in your opinion, the main challenges or concerns that the region is facing or has been facing in the last 3 years? I would just give you some maybe options to pick from. So is it privacy issues? Is it cybersecurity? Is it Arabic content on the internet? Multilingualism of the domain names, for instance? Or is it all of these kind of issues?
May I?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I think it's a mixture of almost everything you talked about, but the thing is that there is something specific for each country. So the countries are different. We can't say that we have the same problem all over the region. I don't know if you agree on that.
Very true. Every country and every region as well would have their own concern. So what you can find in Lebanon might not be there in Egypt. What I can find in Egypt might not be there in Palestine, and so on. But there are always some general characteristics that might classify the region in general. So just common rules or common things that we can share together. So this is
there's some answers in the chat there, Nermine, I think, from Rola and Ashraf. Okay. IXP's DNS security and abuse, the impact of GDPR on the voice and region, and regulations security.
Yes, these are all very valid concerns that we can have, and very, very true. What I want to highlight in this again slide is what took place, in my opinion, and it's in many experts' opinion as well, as a development in 2018. And this, I think, something that we can stop at and maybe discuss a little bit more. So the role of the CDN, so content development networks, or like Facebook, for instance, like Google, like Amazon, and so on. These kind of companies has been evolving very fast and very rapidly in the way they are playing a role over the internet. So we have the internet as we know it, which is the network of networks, and then we have the layer of the applications on top of that. And these are the kind of companies who manage this layer. And what we are seeing in starting maybe 2018, late 2017 up till today, is this kind of companies are heavily now engaged in discussion with the governments, for example, not only on the content side, but also on the infrastructure side. So you can see Facebook, for instance, in one of the countries within our region, or in any other country in the world, discussing or even implementing some submarine cable or something similar to the IXP, but they are not calling it IXP. I'm not very, I can't remember the exact name, but they have their own terms for the things that we used to know as something like the IXP, for instance. So they are moving very, very slowly in a very, not slowly, but I mean very cautiously from the layer of the content to the layer of the infrastructure. So what would this lead as an impact in your opinion? So if I am if in a country like Egypt, for example, I'm heavily engaged, like as an incumbent, Telecom Egypt, for instance, with Facebook to establish a submarine cable through the Facebook technology or whatever, or an IXP through the technology of the Facebook. What, in your opinion, would be an impact in that factor? Any idea?
Can I try?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, because I will be limited to what I will not have the choice to use the different website provided by other providers. So I will be limited to what Facebook can provide me. So in a way, that's a kind of zero basics they start, and it was rejected by many countries. Even they are willing to put infrastructure unless the government that allow them to do that, to give them the chance that other traffic uses on other website, other data traffic uses their infrastructure.
Infrastructure. This is a point that is very valid. Rola, you have your hand up.
Yes, from my perspective, I'm talking from my own capacity. I think that the main issues here is OTT and the digital taxation and on OTT. And the fake news, especially after COVID-19, it has a major impact on this. I guess that's the issues, and also the infrastructure. Regarding the infrastructure, I think that the network of the network, and I'm trying to defragment the networks is also an issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Rola, very much. Fragmentation is, of course, part of the concerns that might arise from such actions, but as well, security and privacy of the data that is flowing on that infrastructure would be on the edge, because the data center of the information that flows from this on that cable or something or whatever similar infrastructure that they are having would be in the hands of these companies. Okay, so they would the privacy of the information over that would be questionable, I would say. And this is very, very important point. So while our countries, for instance, are very much into securing the internet and the infrastructure and how that it's being used and so on, still it's they are being tempted to join these kind of efforts by the CDNs and put their security or privacy on a very challenging position. Okay. Another point that is very important for us to understand as well with our different hats, whether we are experts within the government or experts within a company or even NGOs or whatever, is that when these kind of companies, because they are the big, the big fives, or for example, or very rich ones and so on, they would influence the regulation there. So for them to have something that they will invest millions of dollars within, definitely they will not do this for free. They would have something for them to take out of that, right? So probably they would look, and this is actually happening, they would look after the regulation and the laws that is prevailing, try to change them in a way that could be appealing to their own favor somehow. I'm not saying that they are bad guys or they are bad players, but I'm just highlighting some of the issues that we need to be aware of. And it's our role as Internet Society to make this kind of awareness vivid in our mind, so that when each one with our own perspective and hats can have an impact, a positive impact when it comes to such discussions in his own country. So in 2020, if we can reach our year, what is, in your opinion, the most prevailing thing that took place? I think it will not be a bad thing to show that the world has been temporarily closed due to the pandemic of the COVID. And we could have been shut down completely without the internet being in our lives. And imagine the world without the internet when we were locked down in our houses for months and even maybe till now. We would have been in total isolation. True? So the internet, again, like I said at the very beginning, at that point in time, back in the 60s, it served the purpose to find a way to communicate together in the small groups that were in need to communicate together and serve the purpose of that point in time. But at this point in time, we were able to continue our life. So we were able to make sure that our families in every place in the world or even in the same country are being safe. We were able for our children to continue education. We were able to have health advice from institutions like the hospitals and doctors and so on. The banking sector were able to change, or we were able to reach our banking accounts and so on over the internet. So everything went online in just a click of the hand. Without having this kind of network available to us the way it is available right now, we were not gonna be able to have any of these kind of live features as again, taking for granted, I can go to school. Now I will not be able to go to school. So how can I continue education, for instance? So it's this kind of, the beauty of the internet, it's this kind of bringing us all in a safe way, in a trusted manner, and a medium that we can rely upon when we are, and be safe on that medium. This, and again, these kind of words that I'm saying, being safe, trusted, available, accessibility, and so on, these are the issues that are now of great concern to everyone and to us at the Internet Society in particular. We need to have accessibility to all, I mean to all, because if for example, a village in Egypt, in Upper Egypt, for example, doesn't have an internet or doesn't have a connectivity, they will be isolated in no time. Even fake news, as Rola was saying, for instance, they will not even know that whether fake news or whether good news or right news, right? So we need to have accessibility. We need to have a safe way of communication. We need some, more things to do. I'm trying to look at the chat if there is something that we can take out of it as well. So what is of concern to us right now is how to make the internet available for everyone. How can we secure the infrastructure of the internet, and how can we enhance the infrastructure to be able to respond to the high demand, whether it is regular demand, a serious demand, or even fun, because we are stuck at home, you have to have some fun. So how can we make sure that the internet infrastructure is able to provide you with whatever you need online? This is something that we need to take care and keep an eye on. Yes, Nadira, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I think also to make awareness, would be the whole chapters if we have a campaign of the necessity to such available services to all, because everybody's suffering, especially with the virtual education. People are having a hard time because of the slowness, and there is a lot of jokes going on how even in good countries that the heavy use, the traffic is slowing down the whole network in that country. So if there is a campaign focused on spreading the awareness and the need or the demand, maybe kind of creative pressure. We don't want to have a pressure, awareness, we need to make an effort. We need to have less money in order to provide a service, kind of sharing our services with a long-time loyalty of our who uses our services. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadira. And for that, and to that point, actually, we have started the year after the corona, to reimagine our activities in 2020, and we in the MENA region decided to have a policy document on what kind of recommendation we can provide to our region for the coronavirus or the pandemic lockdown, and how the internet can do a better job in a secure way and with a good accessibility. And this is the document that I mentioned earlier in my talk today with you, and that will be published very soon with a set, and you will find a set of recommendation. And I think we've conducted, if you remember, a regional webinar to discuss this paper. Yes. And it has a very good, it has a very good set of recommendations. What we have done as well is that we globally coordinated with the other regions as well, a set of recommendations that can go across when it comes to the COVID impact again. And this is already published, and I can share with you again over maybe email or something the link to this document, because it's on our website. I put it in the chat in the morning again, but I can share it with you. It has a very, very interesting set of recommendations that came from the different regions, and we will continue to do so as we move forward. And this is part, by the way, Yani, this kind of discussion that we are having, when we go back to the main room, we will be asked what kind of takeout or suggestion that you can provide, so that we can consider in our future work. And this is something you can suggest, if you'd like, Nadira, to the group as part of the things that we can continue doing. And
great, Nermine, and excellent, because you already worked, and thank you for working on this timely document and policies. And that kind of, we need to really disseminate it widely, this document, and could be part of my business background or marketing background, it's good to have kind of snippets, and that disseminated. People usually don't read long documents. If we have short and spread out all over the media, and that will be a kind of a good reach. People will click on it and read about it. So that's stronger. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. The other 2 points that I would like to mention within this context, actually, and within the plan that we would like to do, and I would like to hear your opinion as well, is that for the point, and that would lead me to the actually coming slide. Without having to do the slide or question anymore. So to be more focused on the internet governance and the dilemma that we are always facing or discussing. So we have two main components. So multi-stakeholder versus government control or intergovernmental control, and free and open versus fragmentation. And I meant to mention these issues and close the discussion with them, because I think I will not maybe tackle or stress on the multi-stakeholder or government control, because this has been very, very old discussion and ongoing. But the other component is very much relevant to what we were been discussing on the CDN and the layer of the application and the development and the change that we are seeing in the role of the CDN is playing in the regions, in the countries in general, and the idea of whether we need to close or to adopt or follow the Chinese model or the European one, for example. So the closed one and open one versus one another, and the fragmentation as a point of a question, I mean, that could be raised, and the fact that the internet is our bread and butter right now to continue living, as I'm saying, with the COVID going on with us until vaccination is being reached out. So these are the kind of questions and concerns that we still have within the internet society and the MENA region. And for that, I'm starting to plan or thinking about planning another policy document that could discuss the
advantage of open, maybe.
Yes, and actually the COVID as well. Not the COVID. I mean the regulation that could be affecting the internet, and with a special focus on the kind of regulation that is not coming out from the ICT sector, but from other sectors. For example, content regulation. This is a kind of regulation that is being discussed within different countries within the region, and the ICT sector is not really behind it, but rather the mass communication or the journalism syndicate and so on. So they are being very much concerned about content, including content online. So when they are discussing laws, they are discussing laws that could affect or impact the internet and how it runs, and they are not really the experts to do so. Do you follow what I mean?
Especially when they talk about content regulation, it's so dangerous because it hinders the innovation, especially if we want to empower entrepreneurs and developing more local applications. It really hinders that from my perspective. Thank you.
Exactly.
I think we only have a few seconds left, just in case.
Well, this will be the conclusion. Thank you for
reminding
me.
Hand up.
Yes, Rola, please.
I will be short. I guess it's regarding the content regulation. There is very huge obstacles that every stakeholder must be provide or be concerned with the content regulation, especially the ICT sector, because it's having the technical expert and the policy expert for this one. Beside the content regulation, that the multi-stakeholder in the content, like the content provider, the journalist, and so they have to make a regulation that concerned everyone, not to make it an isolated island.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is my perspective, and I'm speaking from my own capacity. Thank you.
Yes, no, I understand, and this is exactly what I meant. So they need to consider other partners as well, because as we are saying, the internet is for everyone, and the internet governance is being for everyone with this complicated internet ecosystem, and no one entity should be taking away what we are having right now, because it's a privilege that we need to cherish. And we need to continue to have it running in a trusted manner and for everyone. So I think we should go back to the main room unless there are some other reflections that we can conclude with. My own reflection will be collaboration. So internet and internet governance is all about collaboration. You cannot do it alone. No one can do it alone. So the health sector, the banking sector, the ICT sector, these us as users, academia, researchers, or whatever, we need to collaborate together so that we can achieve some success and maintain the internet flourishing as it is. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you, Nermine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So shall we go to the main room?
Yes, thanks. All right.